Welcome
Welcome
to
to Camp
Constitution
Constitution
Radio
Radio
with
with
your
your
host,
host,
Hal
Hal
Shurtleff.
Shurtleff.
This
This
show is
show is
heard
heard
on
on
WBCQ
WBCQ
The
The
Planet
Planet
every
every
Monday
Monday
night
night
at
at
7:30
7:30 p.m. Eastern
Standard
Standard
Time
Time
and
and
replay
replayed
on
on
Thursdays
Thursdays
at
at
7:30
7:30
p.m.
p.m.
Eastern
Eastern
Standard
Standard
Time.
Time.
And
And
we're
we're
very
very
glad to
glad to
be
be
here.
here.
I
I
think I'm
think I'm
having a
having a
little
little
trouble
trouble
with
with
the
the
audio
audio
here.
here.
Let
Let
me
me
see
see
if
if
I
I
can.
can do that. And I think the echoing has stopped. Anyway, again, this show is brought to you by Camp Constitution, which, among other things, runs a week-long family camp. Next year's camp will run from July 28th to August 3rd at the same location it was this year, the Pittsfield, the Christian Camp and Retreat Center in Lakeside Christian Camp and Retreat Center in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And we're already lining up some instructors and some return instructors. Looking forward to it. So check our website, campconstitution.net, to find out when to learn more about the camp and all the other things we have available, the Bloomfield Archives, our YouTube channel, and many other things. Incidentally, just a few days ago, I got word that we have been demonetized. Our YouTube channel has been demonetized. And I want to talk a little bit about that and talk about the ridiculous show trials that happened last week. But also I want to talk a little bit about what happened, I guess, yesterday. We were guests at the Quiet Corner Freedom Rally and Pig Roast. This is the first, I hope to be the first annual. It took place at a VFW post in Dayville, Connecticut, which is the Quiet Corner is referred to as the northeast corner. That's sort of borders Massachusetts and Rhode Island, a nice rural area. Plenty of patriots. Connecticut, the political climate in Connecticut is as bad as it can be in New England, but there are lots of patriots there. It was a really nice time. Janet Muscara invited me. She's a lady of patriot, and there was lots of good people there, and really had a good time. Been a long day, but very much worth it. And this is some of the things that we at Camp Constitution do on a regular basis. We attend these types of functions. Next weekend, I'll be down in Reading, Pennsylvania, at a Mid-Atlantic Christian Conference. We'll have an information table. Got a chance to do some videotape some of the instructors there, and looking forward to that, meeting people like Peter Hammond and seeing Martin Selbrede of the Chalcedon Foundation. And again, this is sort of the things we do. And I'll be giving a couple of presentations up in New Hampshire on the deep state. So I do encourage you to, if you're interested in where we're going to be, what activities, check out our website. We have a calendar. I think we'll just say camp items, and it'll be a drop down, and it will show you the different places where we'll be speaking or having events. We plan to be in a parade in a couple of weeks in the Rosendale section of Boston, and many other activities throughout the next couple of months. So yes, YouTube demonetized our channel. And we've had this channel probably for, I don't know, eight, maybe 9 years. And I recently, maybe within the last 2 years, actually monetized the videos. I didn't really like the idea of commercials running in, before or after, telling what type of commercials, sending the wrong message. However, it's something that a lot of organizations do to raise funds. And I thought, well, certain videos I think would meet the criteria. I didn't monetize everything, but a lot of them. And we haven't been making a whole lot of money. We have a ways to go. I thought right now we have about 3,300 subscribers, where we have close to 800,000 views. And I know that in the YouTube world, 800,000 views is respectable, but it's not exactly earth-shattering or earth-shaking. But I think as time goes on, we're going to attract more subscribers and more viewers and become more influential. But we have been very pleased by some of the results we got on a few of our videos. A Willie Soon presentation he gave last year at camp, his first class, we got about 135, 36,000, and we're still getting views. It's a video that's still of interest. Some videos tend to run their course, and then after a year or 6 months or whenever that issue is no longer vibrant or on the front burner, so to speak, then the video gets few and few views. A couple of years ago, I uploaded a video that was actually a radio conversation that took place on a station in California, in Los Angeles. It was John Farrar, the man who found Mary Jo Kopechne's body. This is the woman who drowned in Ted Kennedy's car. I should say drowned. She probably suffocated. And that, because of the movie that came out earlier this spring, we got tons and tons of views. We probably got about 160,000 views, and we were averaging about 80,000 to 85,000 views per month. And that and Willie Soon's video and a few others. So I got this notice that the whole channel has been demonetized. Now, sometimes you want to monetize a video, they come back and say, oh, this doesn't meet our standards, basically because it's a conservative or pro-American or naming names or what have you video, and they don't want to, we don't want to offend our lefty subscribers or what have you, so they just don't allow you to monetize it. And I have downloaded some. They were called duplicate videos, but I'm thinking these videos are been out there a long time. I have a short little clip of George Soros admitting to helping to seize the property of Jews when he was a 14-year-old boy. I got Oprah Winfrey, just a short clip talking about the people that she considers racist need to die, in a kind of a chilling way she said it. And a few of those have got a lot of viewers, but these things are, I would think, public domain. It's not like I'm the only one that's using it. So I'm going to have to look into that. I think these kinds of videos are important, and I'd rather not monetize them if I can't run them. And again, we weren't making a whole lot of money, but every little bit helps. So far, we made $200 the last year or so. That's a little bit more than half of a camp tuition, and it's a way to get funds without we're already going to upload the videos anyway. So we'll see what happens. It says that I can reapply, but there are some videos I do not want to take down, and but I do expect that we will have the channel taken from us, just completely trashed. So we're going to be doing some backup. I've got a number of people that have requested, or should say, mentioned other YouTube alternatives. There's a couple. Now, we already have a channel on Vimeo. Vimeo does charge money, and I have a second YouTube channel, which can be a potential backup. But yeah, I'll be looking at some of these other that are more open to things than YouTube. And of course, YouTube was about earlier this year or maybe late last year. I got this announcement that hope they get the Southern Poverty Law Center that they've retained to keep make sure everything's just right. I said, the Southern Poverty Law Center. These are communists. This is a far left, anti-American, pro-communist organization. These are the guys that that YouTube is telling us, oh, we're all set now. I have not heard of YouTube demonetizing left-wing news stations. Now, I might be wrong, but I haven't heard of any. There may have been some, but again, I haven't heard any. And you can put some of the most vile things on YouTube, vile, insulting, and disgusting things, and that's okay. That's okay with their community standards. But you put something that promotes the Constitution, that exposes our nation's enemies, that makes people like Oprah Winfrey, where she's talking about she's so politically correct and just loves everybody, and she comes out and makes this chilling statement about what people that she construes as racist. I guess that's anybody who disagrees with her leftist worldview is considered a racist, and I think people should know about this. And we do this radio show. It's on YouTube. We put our classes and activities. There was just 4 relatively short presentations at this event yesterday that will be up on YouTube pretty soon. So it's nothing that there's no subversion, there's no pornography. We're not, libeling or slandering anybody unnecessarily. I mean, I should say we're exposing people, but we're not slandering them, deliberately saying falsehoods. You know, of course, again, you could put some of the most vile stuff up there, and that seems to be okay. If I was bashing Trump every day and saying the most disgusting things that were totally untrue, that's fine. Bill Maher, you get see his stuff on YouTube. His filthy mouth. He's just so he says outrageous things, and I guess that's okay with YouTube. But something like Camp Constitution that believes in limited government under the Constitution, that believes in morality and virtue and piety and honesty, this stuff violates the community standards. But we'll see what happens. Maybe if we get some folks that enough, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. But there's been a lot of folks. One of my good friend Mert Malfa. Mert had over 1 million views. I don't know how many subscribers he had, over 10,000. He's been doing, and he's very dedicated. Mert's the man who does our YouTube. I should say he does our videotaping at camp. He does an incredible job the last couple of years, really dedicated to getting the stuff up and viewed. And just like that, they lost his channel, and he had a lot of videos. I didn't say, well, this one we find objectionable, or this one we're going to take down, but the whole thing. He said he didn't have any community strikes, and then bingo, it's like one pitch, and it's 3 strikes, you're out, and those videos are lost. So that's why it's always good to back up anything you do, because you can't just rely, have it on a hard drive on another computer, have it backed up on a thumb drive, have it backed up on a couple of other social media, because if you don't and you lose it, then it's gone for good. And we've got some great stuff. I mean, we like to think what we're doing at Camp Constitution is historic, and we hate to see our history being down a YouTube memory hole, Orwellian memory hole. So anyway, but if you're listening to this show and you have not subscribed to our channel, I urge you to do that. Just put in Camp Constitution. We also have a Podomatic account, Podomatic.com, and that is where we've uploaded our audios, and we put this show up there. We have some other things as well, and that one we pay for, and they don't really bother you. But the audience isn't nearly the potential audience, especially, is not nearly as big as YouTube. I mean, if we get 30 or 40 views a day, we're happy, and we've been in the top 10 in the last since we signed up for it. I think back in September, the top 10 for our category, conservative right, but it's still a drop in the bucket. But the nice thing is that lots of people are downloading our interviews and our shows. I don't know the count right now. It might be a couple of thousand. Again, a drop in the bucket. But if we had 2,000 videos being distributed, audios, DVDs, or CDs, I'd be happy about that. And once you download something, you have no idea how many other people are listening to the same program. So it's just a good resource, and it's again a service we provide. We're an educational organization, and we want to make sure that this information gets out. So now I want to talk a little bit about the nomination hearings. Really a hatchet job on, I think, a pretty decent guy, Brett Kavanaugh. Now, I don't think he's probably the best choice that Trump could have made. I think Attorney Edwin Vieira will go, although he's I think in his late 60s, and someone like Mrs. Chris Ann Hall and some others. I'm a little biased because I know these people personally. Would probably make incredible Supreme Court justices because they're solid constitutionalists. Judge Kavanaugh did work for Justice Roberts, who ruled in favor of Obamacare, which I thought was really bad. But I think overall he'd probably be good on most issues and decide the right way on a number of issues. But see, the left is petrified that abortion, Roe versus Wade, will be overturned if he is confirmed, and that is why the vehemence, the hate, the viciousness, they have to do whatever they can to derail this man and not get him appointed. And they will hope that they can wait until next year, where they think they may have a Senate majority and they can just keep that seat vacant and or what have you. I think that's what they're looking to do. Now, but this is the sad thing. The Supreme Court is not the highest law of the land. It was never meant to be the highest law of the land. In fact, it is the least powerful branch of the federal government. If you read Article 3, you will see that. There's nothing there that says the Supreme Court will make laws, that they will enforce laws, that they will strike laws down all over the country, that their decision is higher than a law. But unfortunately, both Republicans and Democrats over the years have accepted this. And I encourage people to actually read Article 3 and see exactly what their duties and responsibilities are and their powers. And it's very limited. And, it says the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges both of the Supreme Court and inferior courts, this would be federal district courts, for example, shall hold their offices during good behavior and shall at stated times receive for their services a compensation which should not be diminished during their continuance in office. And by the way, good behavior, they can be impeached. I think there was only one justice that faced impeachment, and I don't think he was removed. It was Justice Chase, I believe. This is very important. This is Section 2. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority. And by the way, when treaties are made, they have to be made in pursuance of the Constitution. A treaty can't be in violation of the Constitution or it is null and void, okay? To all cases affecting ambassadors or public ministers and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, and by the way, that was changed by the 11th Amendment, citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state of the citizens thereof and foreign state citizens or subjects. And again, the 11th Amendment changed a few of these things. It doesn't say that it doesn't say the Supreme Court's the highest law of the land, and it doesn't say that you have 9 justices and 5-4 decisions are so important to our republic. But it's become that way. And I'll give you an Roe versus Wade. This was the horrible decision. I think it was a 6-3 decision that said basically a woman can abort their baby. They didn't want to make a determination when life began, so they gave the benefit of the doubt to the doctor who's making money killing this baby, and to the mother who wants an abortion. So what that did, that decision struck down the laws of many states. I think in 72, I think there were only 2 states that had repealed. All 50 states had passed laws against abortion. California and New York were the first 2 to repeal their laws. It's interesting. It's good to see laws repealed in generally, laws that promote tyranny, but laws that protect life. And in fact, many of these states still have the laws on the books. They never actually took them off, and they never said, whatever general law, whatever what laws they passed. They never said that we have to strike this out because the U.S. Supreme Court said so. So, and in fact, there's some movement around the country that, we're going to lose, Roe versus Wade's going to be overturned, so we better get these laws repealed from the state statutes. And that's a very interesting development, too. I don't know if any states have actually done that as of yet, except there's a few states that had legalized abortion. One of them, California, under Republican Ronald Reagan, and the other state under Republican Nelson Rockefeller. Don't let anybody think that because a Republican governor is there that somehow liberty is and freedoms are safe. Not the case, especially here when you have left-wing Republicans. We look at Massachusetts, for example, Governor Baker. He has an R beside his name, but it should be an S for socialist, because he's far more to the left than even many Democrats. So, again, the Supreme Court is not the highest law of the land, and it really shouldn't be such an incredible issue. Who's nominated? Yeah, okay, we may not like the idea that be a Democrat or a Republican or someone who's a liberal or conservative, but it shouldn't be that important. And you would think that a justice, regardless of their political ideology, they listen to a case and they look at the facts, they look at the Constitution, and they make their decision. And in many cases, the Supreme Court would say, we're not hearing this case. This is not our jurisdiction. It goes back to the state where it came from. Unless under the Constitution there are certain things that's the court of original jurisdiction. But between states, things that are happening in the states, you know, when in Kansas, I think it was the state of Kansas, a lady whose name will come to me in a few seconds, a very courageous woman. She was a state official or a town official, maybe even a county. I think it was a county official, and she refused to issue a so-called same-sex marriage certificate to two males after the Supreme Court ruled that they could. The states shouldn't. The state of, I think it was Colorado, had no business having a law that says marriage is between a male and a female. So this courageous lady said, no, I'm not violating Kansas state law. And Obama sends his attorney general, I should say, federal marshals, to arrest this woman and put her in a county lockup with the support of the sheriff. What should have happened is that the sheriff should arrest the federal marshals that were involved in this and then bill the federal government for the cost of incarceration and say that you have no jurisdiction here in my county and in this state. The states, the laws were made in pursuance of the Constitution. Since the Constitution of the United States doesn't have any reference to marriage whatsoever, therefore, this is null and void. That decision you've made is null and void. It's repugnant to the Constitution, and we will not enforce it. That's what should have happened. You see, the Supreme Court doesn't have an army. It doesn't have its own police. It has to rely on the Attorney General to enforce any of its decisions. And the decision is not a law. Article 1, Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution that says, all lawmaking abilities herein granted shall be vested in a Congress which shall consist of a House of Representatives and a Senate. Doesn't say anything about a Supreme Court. And too many people, even good conservatives, think, oh, the Supreme Court's the law of the land, and they look to the federal government, to the Supreme Court, as the way to solve their problems back in the states. Now, it would be great to see Roe versus Wade overturned, and then it would be up to the states. And some states may be pro-abortion states. I imagine states that are far left, like California, like Massachusetts, like New York, and many in between. But some states will not. And I think that's the way it should be. I would, by the way, support a constitutional amendment, the United States Constitution, that would outlaw abortion in the United States. And the reason being, you'll say, well, is that constitutionally consistent? You say you're a constitutionalist. Well, I think the most important thing we have in our country is to be able to protect life, liberty, and property. And if a state is supporting abortion, it is not guaranteeing a Republican form of government. And therefore, I think the federal government does. I think we do have a right to have a national amendment. However, I do not want to see an Article 5 convention. I don't want to see people get sucked into the idea that we'll get a pro-life amendment. We'll just trust us to have a convention. So that's one of the caveats. Please do not fall for this Article 5 convention. So what else is going on? So many things are happening, folks. It's just it's an incredible time to be alive. And again, I've been giving some presentations on the deep state, and it's been very well received. And one of the presentations I gave up in Maine a few weeks ago, I think it was late August, early September. And what's amazing to me is that so many, the term deep state has become accepted. Many people acknowledge the existence of a deep state. In fact, I think they said there was some poll taken, and I mentioned this in the presentation, that more than half Americans, or close to half Americans, believe such a thing exists. And what's even more, assuring or surprising but encouraging is that 30 years and under, over 80% believe. Now, that 80% is voting for Hillary and Bernie, so they're not exactly on our wavelength. But if they understood who was behind the deep state and see the folks who are going after Kavanaugh, that are going after Trump, that are going after others, that these are the true deep staters. Can you imagine a CIA director considering himself to be a patriot and appealing to patriotism of the American people? Why is the left all of a sudden pro-CIA and pro-FBI? All of their, for years, they've hated the FBI. For years, they look at the CIA, rightfully so, by the way, as an entity that cannot be trusted, as an entity that goes around causing all kinds of difficulty and problems, yet all of a sudden they're righteous in the eyes of the left. That should tell you something. And what Chuck Schumer said early last year, I think it was sometime within a few months after Trump was Trump was in office, Schumer said something to the effect that Trump better be careful and not upset the so-called intelligence community. He says because they have 7 ways, what was the expression he used, to get back at you. So he is admitting in that comment, and you can find that comment, I think he said it on one of the talk radio shows with CNN and MSNBC. He's actually acknowledging the existence of this deep state. Here's the president of the United States that's supposed to be in charge of the CIA. He's the boss. As a branch of the executive branch. They serve at his pleasure. He could fire them all. He could abolish it. The Constitution doesn't say anything about the CIA. That was something that was created after World War II. In fact, the OSS was the predecessor to the CIA. The Office of Strategic Services started during World War II. I got a chance to meet the son. In fact, I debated the son of one of the founders some years ago. But are they that powerful that they now will tell the president what to do? Or the president has to worry about their long arm? There's something dramatically wrong here. So I encourage you to watch that presentation on our YouTube channel, The Deep State. And I'll be, of course, doing some more and probably adding to it and taking away some of the things, adding to things as time goes on. Well, I think our time is up, folks. It is, I think we've got our 30 minutes in. And I want to thank you for listening to our show. I encourage you to share this, and not so much because I'm not the best talk show host in the world, but I've interviewed some incredible people over the years, and I encourage you to go to our YouTube channel, go to our Podomatic account, and share these programs with other people. And with that, I want to thank you for listening. And until next week, may God bless you. You've been listening to Camp Constitution Radio on WBCQ The Planet.